The red sky burned low over the broken land. The ground shook under the heavy steps of soldiers marching toward the battlefield. Jake Turner, a soldier known for his strength and courage, stood on the edge of the ridge. His armor was scratched and dusty from the long fight. Round him, his team prepared their weapons and checked their gear, as they were about to face the human army again. Jake had fought humans many times. Every battle was harder than the last. The humans did not run or hide when they lost ground. Instead, they fought back harder. Jake looked down at the ruined city below. Smoke rose from shattered buildings. Fires burned bright red in the dark. Human soldiers were scattered like ants, but they moved fast and struck without fear. "Why do they never stop?" asked a young soldier named Eric, standing beside Jake. His voice was low and full of worry. Jake shook his head. "They don't fight like we do. They don't care if they lose a few men. They want to win so badly, they keep coming." The others in the group listened quietly. They had seen it too. The humans were strange. They fought like they were angry at the whole universe. Jake remembered one battle on a cold planet called Saran. His squad was outnumbered, trapped in a narrow canyon. The humans attacked without mercy. They charged straight into machine gun fire. Jake lost friends that day, but the humans never stopped. Jake pulled out his rifle and checked the magazine. This is not just a war for land or power. This is something deeper. They want to prove something. They want to show they will not be broken. The sun set behind the hills, and the red sky turned dark. The first shots fired like thunder. Bullets flew across the open fields. Explosions shook the ground, throwing dirt and rocks into the air. Jake moved fast, running toward cover with his team. The battle had begun. Suddenly, a human soldier appeared on a ridge across the field. She was a woman, her face dirty, but fierce. She raised her weapon and fired. Jake saw the flash and heard the shot close to his ear. The bullet missed him by inches. "Watch out," Jake shouted, diving behind a broken wall. His heart pounded. The humans were everywhere. They fought with wild energy. Jake fired back, feeling the heat of the fight. "Keep moving," Jake ordered. "We can't let them get behind us." The team pushed forward through the smoke and flames. Jake's mind raced. He thought about the stories from his commanders. The humans were supposed to be weak, disorganized. But here, they fought like they owned the battlefield. Suddenly, Jake saw a group of humans charging straight at his squad. They were shouting, waving their weapons. They did not seem afraid. One man threw a grenade. Jake dove to the side as the explosion hit the ground where he stood seconds before. Dust and fire filled the air. When the smoke cleared, Jake looked up and saw one human soldier standing close. The man's eyes were sharp and cold. He did not hesitate. He lunged at Jake with a knife. Jake blocked the attack with his rifle and pushed the man back. The fight became close and brutal. Jake's team was surrounded, but they did not give up. The humans fought hard, but Jake and his soldiers held their ground. They moved as one, covering each other's backs. The battle was fierce, and the air was filled with screams and gunfire. In the middle of the fight, Jake caught sight of a human leader. She was tall, strong, and wore a metal helmet with scratches and dents from many battles. She shouted orders and encouraged her soldiers. Jake felt respect and fear for her at the same time. This was not just a soldier. This was a person who knew how to lead and fight with all her heart. As the night fell, Jake's team was pushed back slowly. Humans did not stop chasing them. Every step back was paid in blood. Jake's thoughts went to his family back home, to the quiet life he once dreamed of. But there was no time for dreams now. Only fighting. Only surviving. Jake looked up at the dark sky, full of stars he could barely see through the smoke. He knew one thing for sure. This war was not going to end soon. The humans would keep fighting, no matter what, and Jake Turner would have to be ready. The next morning, Jake woke up in a small tent behind the front lines. His body ached from the long fight. Around him, soldiers cleaned their weapons and prepared for the next battle. No one spoke much. The air was heavy with tiredness and tension. Jake knew the humans would not rest either. They were like a storm that never stopped. His commander, Captain Lee, called the squad for a briefing. "We hit them hard yesterday, but they keep coming," Lee said, his voice low and serious. "They don't care about losing men. We have to find out why." Jake listened carefully. They had tried everything: bombing, traps, cutting their supplies. Nothing worked. The humans adapted fast. They seemed to grow stronger with every attack. "Tomorrow we launch a big strike," Lee said. "We take their base in the hills. It'll be tough, but if we win, it might break their spirit." Jake felt a cold chill. He had seen many bases like that fall. But the humans never stopped fighting. Still, he did what he was told. He checked his gear and went over the plan with his team. The next day, before the sun rose, Jake and his squad moved quietly through the rocky hills. The ground was rough and dry. The wind blew dust in their faces. Every step closer to the human base made Jake's heart beat faster. Suddenly, they heard a shout. "Enemy spotted!" Human soldiers appeared from behind the rocks. They were ready, waiting for the attack. Jake's squad opened fire. Bullets flew fast and loud. The fight was sudden and brutal. Jake dove behind a boulder. He fired his rifle, aiming at the moving figures. The humans fought with sharp skills. They did not panic. They used the rocks and shadows to hide and strike. One human woman, tall and strong, jumped from a rock and threw a grenade near Jake's position.
Awesome.
The explosion threw him backward. His ears rang, and dust filled his mouth. When he cleared his vision, he saw his team fighting desperately. Jake moved quickly to help. He grabbed a human soldier who tried to stab one of his men. Jake pushed the soldier back and kicked him hard. The fight was hand-to-hand now. Soldier struggled, but Jake held him down. "Why do you fight like this?" Jake asked, breathing hard. The soldier looked at him with fierce eyes and said, "Because we have no choice." Jake did not answer. He pulled away and ran to join the others. The battle lasted for hours. The humans refused to run. They attacked again and again. Jake's squad took heavy losses but kept pushing forward. At one point, Jake saw the human leader again. She moved fast, shooting and shouting orders. Her soldiers obeyed her like she was the heart of the fight. Jake felt anger and respect at the same time. This woman was tough. Jake fired his rifle as he moved closer to her. She ducked behind a wall, but did not stop fighting. And the soldiers fought over every inch of the base. The ground was full of broken bodies and blood. Suddenly, a loud roar shook the hills. Jake turned and saw heavy machines rolling toward them. The machines were huge and armed with powerful guns. Jake's squad froze for a moment. "We have to stop those machines," Jake said, "or we lose everything." The fight became even more dangerous. Jake and the others fired missiles and grenades at the machines. They hit some, but many kept moving forward. The humans saw the machines and charged harder, using the chaos to attack from all sides. Jake saw a young human man, no older than a boy, throw himself at one of the machines with a strange weapon. The machine exploded, but the boy was gone. The battle reached its peak. Jake's squad was surrounded, as the humans screamed and fought like wild animals. Jake fought harder than ever. He could feel his muscles burning and his breath coming fast. When the last machine fell, the humans pulled back. They did not give up the base, but they stopped fighting for now. Jake looked at the battlefield. His friends were wounded, some were gone. The humans were still there, alive and ready. He felt something inside change. The humans were not just fighters. They were something more. Jake clenched his fists and said quietly, "This war is far from over." Smoke still hung in the air after the long battle. The ground was burned and broken. Jake Turner walked slowly through the wreckage. His legs hurt and his armor was cracked, but he was alive. His team had taken the human base, but the price was high. Many friends were gone. The rest were tired and wounded. Jake stood near a fallen wall and watched the sky. The sun was rising over the hills, turning the smoke into a strange red glow. He heard quiet voices behind him. His commander, Captain Lee, was speaking with the officers. "They will come again," Lee said. "They never stop." "We won today, but it was not enough," Jake agreed. The humans had pulled back, but not because they were afraid. They had pulled back to regroup. He had seen the way they fought, brave, wild, and full of fire. He could not stop thinking about the young man who threw himself at the machine, or the woman who led her soldiers with no fear. Later that day, a scout brought news. The humans had built a new base in the forest 2 miles away. They were digging trenches and placing traps. They were planning another attack. Jake cleaned his rifle and stood up. He had no time to rest. A new fight was already coming. By nightfall, Jake and his team moved into the forest. The trees were thick and the ground was soft. Every step was careful and slow. The humans were hiding in the shadows. Traps were everywhere. One soldier from Jake's team stepped on a mine. The blast shook the ground and sent blood across the leaves. "Move slow and watch your feet," Jake warned. They pushed forward until they saw lights in the trees ahead. The human base was built from steel and stone. Guards stood on the walls with rifles ready. Small fire burned in the center. Jake signaled to his team. They attacked fast. Bullets cut through the leaves. Smoke and fire lit the forest. Human guards fired back without fear. Jake ran behind a fallen log and returned fire. His heart pounded as loud as the guns. A human fighter jumped from a tree and landed on one of Jake's men. A knife flashed in the dark.
Ow.
Jake pulled his pistol and shot the man in the chest. He did not pause to think. He had no choice. It was fight or die. More humans came from the shadows. Some threw firebombs. The air burned hot. Trees lit up and ash filled the sky. Jake ran through the smoke, calling to his team. They had to reach the command tower at the center of the base. As they pushed deeper, Jake saw the same woman again. She stood near the tower, firing calmly at his men. She moved like a trained warrior. She saw Jake and fired. He dropped low and rolled behind cover. They faced each other in the firelight. Jake fired, she moved, and the bullets missed. She ran up the steps of the tower. Jake followed her with two of his men. Inside the tower, the walls shook from explosions. Jake climbed fast, kicking open doors. At the top, he found her. She had no fear in her eyes. Her rifle was empty, but she had a blade. She charged at him. Jake blocked with his arm and hit her back. They fought hand to hand. Each blow was fast and strong. She was quick and smart. Jake was strong and heavy. They traded punches and kicks, knocking over chairs and lights. Finally, Jake knocked the blade from her hand and pinned her to the wall. She looked at him and said, "You fight well, but you don't understand us." Jake stared at her. "Then tell me, why do you fight like this?" She smiled through her blood. "Because we must. We don't fight for orders. We fight for each other." Then a blast shook the tower. One of Jake's men ran in. "Commander, the forest is on fire. We have to leave now." Jake looked at the woman again. She didn't try to run. She stood tall, proud even in defeat. Jake made a choice. "Take her with us," he said. "We need to talk." They escaped the burning tower as flames rose high. Behind them, the human base fell, but the fight inside Jake had just begun. He wanted answers, and he would get them. The forest burned behind them as Jake and his team returned to their camp.
Ow.
Flames lit up the night sky and smoke covered the stars. The captured human woman walked between two soldiers, her hands tied, but her head held high. Her name was Claire. They brought her to a metal room deep inside the base. Guards stood at the door. Jake walked in alone. He looked at her. Her face was bruised but strong. "Why do you fight like this?" Jake asked. "Your side keeps losing ground. Your people are dying. Why not surrender?" Claire looked him in the eye. "You think we fight because we want to win land?" "No, we fight because we must. We fight for those behind us. Our people, our homes, our children." Jake felt something shift inside him. Her words stayed in his mind. He had never seen his own side fight like that. His side followed orders. The humans followed purpose, Claire said more. "You think we fear death?" "No. We fear losing what we love. That makes us stronger than you." Jake left the room without a word, walked through the camp, past the wounded, past the burning fires. He heard men talking. Some laughed, some cried, but many were quiet. The next morning, scouts returned with bad news. Human forces were moving fast. A large attack was coming. They were heading straight for the base. Jake met with Captain Lee and the other officers. "They know where we are," Lee said. "They are coming hard. We must hold the line here." Jake looked at the map. He saw the hills, the trees, the weak points in their walls. He saw the danger. He also remembered Claire's words. Later, Jake went back to her cell. "They are coming," he said. "Your people, they want you back." Claire nodded. "They will not stop. Not for me, not for anyone. They will come for all of us." Jake asked, "Do they know we are ready?" Claire smiled. "They don't care. Even if they lose, They will keep going. That night, the attack began. Sirens screamed, lights flashed, the sky filled with fire and smoke. Human soldiers stormed the walls. Jake ran with his rifle, leading his team to the front lines. Gunfire blasted across the night. Explosions ripped through the air. Jake fired again and again, shouted to his men, pushing them forward. The humans came in waves. They climbed over the walls, crawled through the dirt, and fought like animals. Jake saw one of his men fall, then another. He felt rage. He ran forward and met a human soldier face to face. The man had a blade. Jake knocked it away and tackled him. They fought on the ground. Jake won, but the fight took his breath. Stood up and looked across the field. The human forces were not stopping. They were losing people, but kept pushing forward. It was like watching a storm that never ended. Jake ran to the command post. Lee was there, yelling into a radio. The walls were cracking, their lines were breaking. "We cannot hold this," Jake said. "We need to retreat." Lee refused. "We stay. We fight." But Jake saw the truth. They were losing. Then something strange happened. A group of humans came close, waving flags. They were not shooting. They held the flags high. One of them shouted, "Let us speak. We bring a message." Jake held fire and stepped forward. Claire was with them. She looked tired, but proud. "You let me go," she said. "Now I bring your chance." Jake stared at her. Behind her, more humans waited. "You can keep fighting," she said, "or you can listen." Gunfire still roared in the distance. The sky was red. Jake stood between two storms. He had to choose. He gave the order. "Hold fire." I stepped into the silence. Jake stood still as the sound of gunfire faded. His men were confused. Some kept their rifles aimed. Others looked at him, waiting for a command. The smoke from the battle still filled the sky. The ground was black with ash and blood. Claire stepped forward from the group of human soldiers. Her hands were no longer tied. She was free now, standing as a fighter again. She walked with slow steps, keeping her eyes on Jake. Behind her, human fighters stood ready. They did not shoot. They waited. Claire spoke loud, so all could hear. "You can keep fighting us, and we will keep coming. You can kill us, and more will rise. We are not machines. We are not here for power. We are here because we believe in something." Jake looked around. His own side was tired. Men were bleeding. Some had no bullets left. They were holding on with broken weapons and fading strength. "What do you believe in?" Jake asked. Claire raised her chin. "We believe in freedom, in life, in each other. We fight not because we are ordered to. We fight because we must protect what matters." Jake stepped closer. "Your people attacked first." Claire shook her head. "No, your people came to take. You built weapons? You dropped bombs? You never asked why we were here. You only wanted control." A silence fell over the camp. Jake remembered all the battles. He remembered the men who never came back. He remembered how many times his side said they were close to winning, but the humans never stopped. He thought of the boy who threw himself into a machine. He thought of the woman who led her troops through fire. He thought of Claire, who stood now in front of him, full of fire but calm. Captain Lee walked up behind Jake. "This is a trick," Lee said. "She wants to break us." Jake turned to face him. "No, she already broke us. Not with lies. With truth." Lee raised his weapon. "You will not listen to them. You are a soldier. Do your job." Jake looked at Lee for a long time. Then he turned to Claire. He nodded once. "I choose to stop," Jake said. "Not because I am weak, but because I see clearly now." Lee shouted, "You are a traitor." Jake grabbed his weapon and pointed it at the ground. "I was blind. Now, I am not." Lee raised his rifle. He aimed at Claire. Jake fired first. Lee dropped to the ground. The camp froze. No one moved. No one spoke. Jake turned to his men. "Put down your weapons. We are done fighting." One by one, soldiers lowered their rifles. Some dropped to their knees. Others looked up at the sky. The fire was still burning, but now it was far away. For the first time in many days, there was quiet. Claire stepped beside Jake. "What now?" Jake looked at the horizon. Now we build something better. The humans moved in and helped the wounded. Both sides worked together. The bodies were taken with care. Water was shared. Soldiers talked instead of shooting. Men and women who had tried to kill each other just hours before now stood side by side. The war was not fully over, but something had changed. A new path had opened, not with bullets, but with truth. Claire and Jake stood on the broken ground. They had both seen too much. They had one thing left: hope. And that was stronger than any weapon.